Right now, analysis and bringing in Ernesto Castaneda, who's director of the Immigration Lab and the Center for Latin American and Latino Studies at the American University. Ernesto, always a pleasure to have you on France 24. Thank you for joining us. Trump says he thinks Bukele is doing a good job. What do you think?
Yes, as we were discussing a minute earlier, they were very nice to each other. They were full of compliments, and they painted this picture that both of them care about crime, and they are doing these imprisonments in order to decrease crime. And what is true that this is something alike to what happened in El Salvador, where there was a lot of violence in the streets and there was indeed crime, and it has gone down by these very extreme measures of Bukele. They keep painting a false image that immigrants commit crime in the U.S., which is not right, is not correct, is not true, or that there was a wave of crime in big cities in the U.S., which is also false. So yes, a lot of credit for Bukele, but now they are trying to import that model to the U.S., where it's a different reality. It's a different situation happening in the U.S.
And all this, of course, plays to Trump's voters, does it not?
Yes, absolutely, Mark. He continues these discourse during the campaign that Donald Trump and his administration were going to liberate American cities from criminal crime, in his words. But there's no such a thing. So now he used this term liberation to talk about tariffs and other things, because there is not a situation here. And he has sent people from another country, from Venezuela to El Salvador, without any precedent for that historically. And then also has sent somebody that had protection from deportation in the U.S. to be sent back from El Salvador, Kilmar Garcia Abrego, who is one of the cases that were asked. And both the Trump administration refused to take responsibility and answer what the orders, for the court order, which is to bring him back to Maryland. And then they sent the responsibility to President Bukele of El Salvador, who said that he wasn't going to liberate a supposed terrorist, although he's not one, into the streets of El Salvador, and that he wasn't going to smuggle him back in the U.S. So they were kind of doing this play of words to deflect responsibility. The press in the room really wasn't able to push back too much. And then they were kind of saying that it was in the other person's responsibility to send or not this person back to the States, to his family.
There are many basic questions, Ernesto, aren't there? And one of them is justice political or not? Should justice be separate from politics? And I think most right-minded people think it should be. And if there's a court order that says this man should be returned, then it doesn't matter what Bukele says or what Trump says, he should be returned. That's the matter, isn't it? And the other thing, of course, is that these 200 Venezuelans who've been sent to a prison in El Salvador, a third country, you know, not their homeland, they've had no legal due process, have they?
No, that is correct, Mark. What everybody here is asking, from the majority of American citizens and public opinion, are against the way these things have been handled. The lower courts, the federal courts, even the Supreme Court, all the judges, 9 of them, in one of the rulings said that there has to be a due process, that people cannot just be kidnapped or taken away in the streets and sent, imprisoned, or sent to another country. And that's what everybody's saying here. If they are gang members, this has to be proven in court. That was not the case for the Venezuelans. That was never the case for this Salvadorian man that we were talking about earlier today. And to having a tattoo is not enough to say that they are members of the Tren de Aragua Venezuela gang. And even having a gang tattoo for the Mara Salvatrucha MS-13, there has to be a due process. They have to go in front of a criminal judge who has to find them guilty or not, and then the law takes place, or at least an immigration court to see if they can be deported or not. And that is the issue here. All these people were not given the chance to present their case in courts. They were not given the chance to get a lawyer or an attorney. They were not given a chance to prove that they were innocent, to bring witnesses, etc. So that is the issue here at stake. And indeed, it's not about what the president say in a press conference, is that everybody's asking in the U.S., including the Supreme Court, that the law be followed.
The American Civil Liberties Union has filed a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's use of a powerful wartime statute to deport these Venezuelan immigrants to El Salvador. Is this likely to go any further, given the influence that Trump has on the legal system, primarily, of course, because he's dominated the Supreme Court with his appointments?
Yes, the ACLU has been key in protecting the citizens' civil liberties rights, as well as other law firms and groups of citizens that have sued in different ways to protect the rights even of foreigners in the U.S. who should be protected by the Constitution.
But you must fear there's no
to
actual
express their
justice in the
opinions.
US, Ernesto.
Well, you're right. The Supreme Court has been very timid in openly confronting and saying that what Trump is doing is wrong. They have said that in the last case by sending down this court about the case of Abrego Garcia, where the local judge said that they had to facilitate the return, and now Trump is interpreting that as not strong enough. So, but the Supreme Court has been clear for most observers that they are asking for due process to be followed, including by the people facing deportation.
Dr Ernesto Castaneda, thank you as always for joining us. It was a pleasure to get your insight and your analysis. Dr Ernesto Castaneda is Director of the Immigration Lab and the Center for Latin American and Latino Studies at the American University. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We're watching for all the